of the main components of the Adobe Illustrator interface is the panels that provide access to specific functionality to different parts of the program. You literally can't use Illustrator without accessing several panels depending on the task that you're performing. Let's take a look at these panels so you have a better understanding of how they work and so that you can work more efficiently when creating artwork in Adobe Illustrator. Now, I'm beginning this video with Illustrator already open on my computer. And there are two main areas where you're going to see panels right away. And that is over here on the left-hand side of your screen, where we have what's referred to as the Tools panel, and over here on the right-hand side of your screen, which we refer to as the panel dock. Now, the Tools panel has two separate views. Currently, we're looking at the double column view, but if I click on this double arrow right here, it's going to switch to a single column view. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the double column view because this area at the bottom of the panel I find much easier to see and navigate in the double column view. And it's also important to understand that panels have several different states. So for example, this Tools panel is currently docked to the left-hand side of my screen. But if I click on this dark strip at the top of the Tools panel, I can drag it and make it a regular floating panel. To dock it again, I just drag over and I keep dragging until I see a blue line, and then I let go and now the panel is docked again. Now in addition, over here on the right-hand side of my screen, we have the panel dock. And by default, when you first launch Illustrator, there are a certain number of panels that have been configured for you. Now this panel dock, right now we're seeing these panels in what's called a collapsed mode. But if you click on this double arrow, it's going to expand the panels so that we can see all the panels at once. Now, the downside to this particular view is that it occupies a lot of screen real estate. So we're going to go ahead and click on the double arrow again to go back to the collapsed view. Now, in addition, the way that this panel works in collapsed view is if you click on one of these buttons, it's going to expand the panel to show you the contents of that panel. And then you can work in this panel, you can perform the tasks in which you want to perform. And when you're done, you can either click on the tab or you can click on the button again to collapse the panel. Now, in addition, in this collapsed state here, you can hover your cursor along the left edge, and if you click and drag, you can open up this panel dock a little bit more so that you can at least see the names of the panels. And this is especially helpful when you're first learning Illustrator or getting more familiar with the program. Now, in addition, you can undock a panel. So if I click on one of these panels here, if I click on the tab, I'm going to detach it from the dock and make it a regular floating panel. You may want to do this occasionally when you're performing a specific task and you want the panel to be really close to your artwork. The problem, however, is that this panel is going to cover up your artwork, and that can get in the way. So to dock this again, you can either click on the dark strip up here at the top, or you can click on the tab right here, and we can just drag it up here, and you just release the mouse button in the location where you want to dock that panel. Probably the most important thing to understand when working with panels is that there are many more panels than you see right now in the panel dock. And the important thing to understand is that all of your panels live in the window menu. So for example, if I click on the window menu, it's going to provide an extensive list of every single panel found inside of Illustrator. So for example, if I choose the Links option, it's going to open up the Links panel. And in many cases, panels are grouped together. So in this case, in addition to the Links panel, we get the Actions panel along with it. Now you could break these apart by clicking on the tab and just dragging them out, and then we can go ahead and close that Actions panel. Now, in addition, as you're working, oftentimes users, especially when they're first getting used to Illustrator, when they're finished with a panel, they'll just go ahead and click on the X up here to close the panel. And then they're thinking, okay, how do I get that panel back? Well, if you go to the window menu and you choose the name of that panel, it's going to go ahead and open the panel back to the exact same spot where it was when you closed it. And in addition, if you find that you're going to use this panel on a regular basis, simply click on this title bar right here and drag it down. and when you see a blue line, just dock it at that location. As you can see, panels are not hard to work with once you understand how to manage them and position them to your liking.